Hello everyone, TheSenpaiCode here. So for today's lesson we're going to create a vase like in Spyro where when you hit it it's going to break, gems are going to spill out of it, and it's going to look something like this. And the sound effect will also play. And then we got 3 gems that pop out. We can collect them. So there is a couple things with this that we will have kind of issues with. The gems, because they spawn up a bit, I do have a rigid body on them. So when they fall down, they will actually collide with other stuff. So if there was a jar piece in the way, it will collide over. That's kind of an easy fix. We could actually make the broken pieces so that we won't actually touch them, that we can actually walk through them, not have a collider on them. They do have colliders at the moment, but that would be one way to fix the issue. There's a few others, but we'll go over that when we get to it. So let's jump into today's lesson. So we're going to have to kind of prepare for that to work, and by prepare I mean how many gems do we want to actually spill out. If the gems spill out at the location where it's busted, at the moment they're just going to float in the air. They don't actually have a rigid body. So what we have to do is kind of like what I did with this green gem. We're going to have to add a rigid body to them and add gravity. We're also going to have to make sure that there's a mesh collider on it, and because this version of Unity 5 or above, I think you have to make sure that it's a convex. I'm going to select the gems, each one. So we have 3. We have the green, the red, and the blue. I'm going to add a rigid body to all of them, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a is it in mesh or is it in physics? Mesh collider, and I'm going to add a mesh convex to each of these. So let's go ahead and just do that. Rigid body, physics, mesh, and make sure that it is like that. Let's just hit play just to make sure that we don't have any errors. We don't. Okay, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the prefabs. I'm going to drag and drop this prefab here, and then I'm going to delete this one and just make sure that's still there. Okay, yeah. So blue, and I'm just going to put it back to blue, and I'm going to do that for each one. So let's go into the red prefab. Where's the red? Right there. Let's go ahead and drag and drop it. Let's delete that. Just make sure it's still there. And let's go ahead and put at 1. And then green is the last one here. So green right here. Let's go ahead and drag and drop it. Let's delete that. And there we have a prefab of each one. So the reason why I'm doing this and re-putting the prefab there is so that we can actually call on the prefab itself from here rather than having certain things going on. But so something else that I actually want to do is make a group of gems now. So I'm going to actually make an empty game object. I'm just going to call this gem group 1, maybe 1. Or maybe I should do count, gem group count. How much is it? It's 5, 8. Is it 8? I think it's 8. So let's put 8 points. And that will be an 8-point count. And then we can actually do that. We can add that into the gem count here. We can put an 8 count or something like that. So when they hit this object and it's triggered, then it will count as 8. So what I'm going to do is with these gems on the level here, I'm actually just going to reposition them. I'm going to actually put them all into this group here. So let's go with this, this, and this, and let's just drag and drop it into the count. So what I'm going to do is we can actually keep them how they are. I actually want to 0 them all in to where it is at. So let's go 0, 0, 0, and see how this turns out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them all to different, like a triangle around it. So let's go 0, 0, and 0. Move it, let's say, move this one this way here. How far is that out? 1.5. Let's do 1.5. I think would be a good number. So that's minus. So let's just grab the next one here, and it'll be 1.5. And then grab the last one here, which would have been this one. And then we just want to move it this way a little bit. So it's going to be in the air. I already know that. And we want to move it about, let's go 1.5 and then 0. Oh, and it's actually going to have to be moved up a bit. So let's just do that. Go about there. So these ones are through the ground too, aren't they? Yeah. So let's just move them up. I actually want to move them back a bit too. Like I said, they're kind of like a triangle. So let's touch this here. Let's move it back here. So what I'm going to do is, so they should be all linked to this one object here. Let's just make sure that it's working properly. Let's just jump inside here. Oh, almost got hit. Double jump on. So when they spill out of the thing, they're going to spill kind of like this. You can actually put a fourth one. I think actually a fourth one would actually be pretty good too. Oh, oops, I just blinked. And that's our blink script working. Let's keep it like that for now anyways. Alright, now that we have that done, let's pop over into 3D Studio Max here and quickly design a vase. So let's create a cylinder for the base of the vase. We only need one segment for the top. I'm going to go 32 just to make it somewhat round. And then I'm going to convert it to a editable poly. I'm going to select the polygon. I'm going to select the top here. And I'm going to insert it just to give us somewhat of an edge. So now we can actually just select, let me just hit select here, the outer edge of the vase, just to have everything so that we can exclude it. Now I would normally loop it, but for some reason my 3D Studio Max isn't looping properly, so I'm just going to do this really quickly. Instead of trying to figure it out. And there we go. So I'm going to exclude this. So I'm watching the front view here. I'm just going to exclude it up here. Let's go about here. And we're going to do another one, and then about two more. This one will be the neck, and then the next one will be the opening. So what I'm going to do is go to vortex. I'm going to just scale this out. So I'm going to right click and go to scale, and then through this I'm going to scale, and I'm watching the top here. Same with this right here. So we're starting to get just the outline of the vase here. So it's going to start going back in a little bit, and then this will go in. And so the vase, I'm looking on Google. I took a look on Google, I should actually say, for some vases, and I'm just going to actually move these down to about here, and then I'm going to scale the bottom in to say about here, and this should do. So this will be the vase that we will be using. So let's go ahead and break this down. So first thing that we're going to need to do is I'm going to assign it a material just to help when we import it into Unity, so that there's no actual like error with it. So I'm just going to make sure that I select the polygons, and I'm going to select everything. I'm going to show shader in viewport, and then I'm going to select apply it right here, assign material, so it's going to assign it to that. We can then close this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a 3D Max, and this will be our full one that we're going to switch out with the broken one. So I'm going to just save it as a 3D Studio Max file, and I'm going to save it as an FBX file. So what we're going to do is I'm going to link a script in the description down below for 3D Studio Max here. And what this script is going to do is it's called a fracture script, and it's going to break this into a few different pieces. So once you have it downloaded, just drag and drop it in. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to pick the object that you want to do this to. So I'm going to pick this vase here. And then you select how many parts you want to actually put it in. I'm going to do, say, 6. So there's a couple different ways that this is either going to break down. It's going to break down kind of straight up. And if it breaks up mostly straight up, then it's going to break into how it is right now. Here, I'll show you guys. So break it. So I just broke it. So the thing is, if it doesn't break up and it breaks into pieces like how these are right here, and they're not going up to the edge here, with the cylinders or with anything that's hollow, it's going to give you these little things inside. So we have it saved, so I can keep trying it. I can go file, I can go new, do a new one, import that saved file in for the vase, and then import this in again, and keep trying until I get a good one that I like. I could do something like this. I can bring this out, each piece that has a non-hollow that got faces added to it, and then I can delete the faces like this. Oh, and I guess the bottom also needs to be done right here. We can delete this. And then what I can do is I can actually bridge all of the faces together. Well, let's go like this. Convert to editable poly. You'll have to convert each individual one to a poly, and then just hit bridge, and that's going to bridge these edges like what it just did right here. And then you could do that to each individual one if you don't want it going straight up too. So we could do something like this. And then that will also give us the proper faces and everything that we will need. And you just go through each individual one and do something like that. So is this one good? This one's actually good. We don't need to do it. This one is actually good too. We don't need to do it to this one. Oh, actually we do for the bottom. But yeah, so just you would go through and do that, and then just put everything back to where it goes originally. And then what you're going to do once you have that done, I'm not going to go through this whole process just because I already have went ahead and did all this and all this. It's going to take some time to go and do all that. Like I said, if you don't want to spend too much time, you can keep trying and hopefully you'll get it with the hollow parts. So once you have this done, what you're going to do is go over here to the left, and there's a cylinder. Just delete this because it's going to be like an excess vase that's invisible in the center. And then there's probably going to be a sphere. I don't see one here, so it looks like it's good. So just make sure that you only have the individual parts is all you need. Just make sure you have that. And then do the same thing that we did. Actually, no, it's because the material should be still on it, so we don't need to do that. So just so once you've deleted the cylinder and sphere and just make sure that you have the invisible parts there. Then just save it as an FBX file. That's all you need to do. So now that we have our broken vase and our full vase saved as an FBX, we'll go back into Unity. So I'll see you guys there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the file that we have everything saved in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the full and broken vase both into Unity here. So I'm going to take the full vase out. So this is the full vase right here. And it's hollow. The size is a bit big for what I want it, so I'm going to resize it to 0.7. And then I'm going to also grab the broken vase. I'm going to bring this into, and I'm going to resize it to 0.7. So that's the same size. So in this, we're going to need a couple things. So we're going to need to, let's start with the full piece first. We're going to need to add a rigid body onto it. So let's go physics, rigid body, and we can keep everything the same as it is right now. Next, we're going to have to add on a mesh. So let's go ahead and add a mesh collider onto it. And then because it's this version of Unity I have, I'm going to add a convex to the mesh collider. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a collision box so when we run into it, it will trigger. So to add the collision box, we're just going to go to game object, go 3D, and let's make it just a cube. I'm going to put this as a collider. And I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this into the vase, the one that we're using. I'm just going to zero it out to that vase. I'm going to bring it up, and then I'm going to resize it to about right there. And now let's move it up a bit and move this up a bit more. There we go. So that should be good. It's still covering everything. So I'm going to make it a trigger. I'm going to take the mesh render and turn that off. Maybe lift it up just a hair bit more. There we go. So now that that's done, let's just make sure that everything's added on to the vase here. I'm going to just move this over just so that we know that this is the one that we have. So I'm just going to play it and just make sure that it doesn't fall to the ground or anything. And that when we hit it, it's able to move, which is good. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and go to the broken vase, which is in the scene right here. Let's just go down like that, and let's just grab all of these pieces inside of it, and let's add a rigid body to all of them. So let's go and go rigid body, and then also let's add a physics mesh collider to all of them. Now here's the thing, the gems have a rigid body to them, so if they start rolling over the pieces that are broken, then it's going to move them up and stuff too, and then it's also going to be with us trying to walk over them. So sometimes it's up to you, personal preference, if you want to add a collider to the pieces or not. But the pieces will disappear in 5 seconds if we want. I do have it added in the script. So let's go ahead and just make sure that it's on convex also. So now that we have that done, what we can do is let's go to the scripts and just right click and create a C# script. We will call this script Breakable, like I have right here. So let's just open this up. So Breakable is really simple. It's a public game object, broken object, and this is what we're going to drag and drop the object in for the broken to switch it out to. So then I have it on the trigger. It goes to private void on trigger, enter collider other, if other.name equals player. Then it's going to instantiate, it's going to take the broken object and it's going to put it in where our transform position and its transform rotation is, and then it's going to destroy the transform.parent game object. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to stick it on the collider for the non-broken one here. So let's just go ahead and drag and drop that on. And then, so whenever they hit this trigger, it's going to delete the parent, it's going to destroy the parent. So we're not going to drag and drop this in just yet because we want to do it once we have everything together. So for this one, we're going to want to actually add a script onto it also. So what we're going to do is make another script. So just right click, go to create C# script, and we will call this one after seconds, like I have here. So after seconds, here's what this one's going to have. It's going to have a public game object gem spawn. So this is what's going to spawn the gems that we did when we first started our gem group. It'll spawn this. We'll drag and drop this into here. And it's also going to play the audio source. So it's going to play audio source equals get component audio source play. And then it's going to instantiate the gem spawn in where this transform position and rotation is, and it's going to destroy the game object after 5 seconds, around 5 seconds. It will destroy the pieces, but it will still have the gems there. So if you have an audio source playing, add the seconds to give it time to play through. So we're also going to have to add an audio source to the vase here, and make sure that you have it in void start. If you have it in void update, the audio will make a buzz sound. If you have the instantiate gems, then it's just going to keep loading the gems in. So make sure that it's on void start. So just make sure that we have it on the vase here. So after seconds, we'll just drag and drop that on, and then we'll go find the prefab, which should be in here for the gem group here. And we'll just drag and drop that on the gem spawn, and then we'll add component. We'll make the where's audio source, open that up. So I went on YouTube and I found a clip that had a whole bunch of broken glass or vase sounds in it, and I broke it down, and I'll just use this for this tutorial. So I imported that, and it's called vase break sound is what I named it. So I'm going to put that in here. So now that everything's put onto this script, onto these pieces, I think, right? Mesh collider, rig body. Okay, yeah. So what we can do is we can go back into the vase, and then we can actually take this and we can drag and drop it down, and I'll call this vase 1, broken 1. I want to have a couple different ones that will give different gem amount, like 8 or 15 or 20 gems, you know, something like that. So it's going to be vase broken 1 is what I'm going to keep it as. We can then delete this out of the scene. We can go into the vase collider, and where it says broken object, we can just drag this object here, this vase broken 1. We can drag and drop it in there. So they will switch out with this object. So hopefully, in theory, this should work now, I believe. I'm just going to save it first. Save scene, and let's play it, and let's test this out. So if I run into it, it breaks, it plays the audio, and the gems spilled out. And then it deletes the broken pieces after 5 seconds, after the audio and everything played. And it's kind of that simple to break an object or create broken objects. It just takes time, how much time you want to actually put into how many pieces you want the object to break. I'm not sure, I didn't really watch the pieces when it broke, but these are have rigid body on them, have gravity. So like I said, we could always take and make those, the vase, the broken one, not have a collider so these won't roll over them. But yeah, so it's just how much time you want to spend to break up the vase into its how many groups, and then putting everything together. Like I said, a box or something more solid would be easier. If it's something hollow, like I said, you have to delete the faces and put it up. So there's another way that we can do this if you guys want to spend more time going over this, and I might do this in the future, video, and I want to actually tell you guys this way because it will actually make your game look a lot better. Inside of 3D Studio Max or Unity here, it doesn't matter which one. I think Unity would probably be easiest. You can actually animate the jar pieces instead of just going like how they were. Every time you hit it, it's going to be different because it's gravity, rigid body, and depend on how much force you hit it, it's going to blow further apart or less apart. But if you want it to be animated, you can actually animate the broken vase parts to go a certain way if you want it. And you can also animate the gems if you want the 3 gems to appear here and then pop out and then go different ways, and then have a particle effect that trails off like the sparks, like kind of how we have it with the particle effects for them at the moment. You can do trails, and then you can actually animate those and then actually put it in the script so that when it breaks, you could do it, put like the animation like probably right here, I would say, and then call upon it. Same with the breakable. You can put the animation, actually it would actually be here too, both of the animations for the gems and for the way that the jar or the way that things break apart can actually be put in here. And that's a way that you can actually make your game look a lot better. But I'm kind of leading on right now, so I'm going to end this episode since it's probably getting pretty long. I'll end it here. If you guys have any troubles, because this is kind of getting to be more advanced, just let me know in the description down below, and I'll try to answer as soon as I can, and maybe make another tutorial on that if some people are having trouble with something. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, leave a like, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.
Fire burns as the feelings start. I build a wall around my heart, but you're breaking it down.